here with another episode of Conversations and Connections. Again, we're the official podcast of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. I'm Stuart Burson. I'm the prevention coordinator for the agency. And with me today, again, not a stranger to the podcast, Greg Sims, our shelter manager. Greg has been on the podcast at least a couple of times before.
Yes.
And it's time to revisit with some things with Greg. Greg, I appreciate it. We've scheduled this, and I had a bad cold that just knocked me on the ground for the past couple of days, and so we've rescheduled. Greg, thanks a lot for doing this.
Not a problem.
And I am going to ask you, you probably need to lean into the mic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Well, Greg, I have you on the podcast today for there's two reasons. And the first thing I want to talk about is we are wrapping up October. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I realize a lot of people listening to this, it may be the beginning of November. But I do want to kind of talk about some domestic violence issues with Greg. You know, a lot of listeners, you know, when they hear the Family Crisis Center of East Texas, a.k.a. the Women's Shelter, they think of the shelter. They probably think of the thrift stores. But they may not have an idea of what the shelter is just really used for, the real purpose of the shelter. But tell me, why have a shelter here in Angelina County for victims of domestic violence?
Well, our main purpose for the shelter is going to be for safety and security. Most of the time, most of the callers have someone that's actively looking for them. They fear for their safety. They don't feel safe wherever they're staying at that moment. So the shelter provides them a place to go to where they can have that safety and not be looking over their shoulder every minute.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Okay. What are the services offered? You know, obviously it is a shelter, so there are beds. This is a place where they can stay. But what, besides, I guess, the obvious, what are the services that we provide the clients through the shelter?
Okay. Well, like you said, the temporary housing, but the agency also offers many different services, whether they be counseling, legal advocacy, self-help services as far as housing and trying to find a place for them to move to once they leave here. Child advocacy services to help the kids with school issues, birthdays, holidays, all that stuff. So
yeah, okay, all right. How many folks can we accommodate back there?
The shelter, it's a 39-bed facility, but fire code, we can hold up to 44. We have an overflow room where if we had more people come in, where we could put them in the meantime. If we go over that, then we make other arrangements and kind of work that out on a case-by-case basis.
Well, I guess that's one question. Let's say we are full and someone comes in and they do need shelter. What do we do with that kind of a situation?
Depending on their lethality and, what their safety situation is, we're probably going to bring them into the shelter, and what we may do is take some of the residents who don't have that high lethality, and we may get them a hotel room. We may make arrangements. They may look into other shelters. There's a number of different options that we can do at that point that, we just have to discuss as a team and try to figure out who to move, who to...
Yeah. So when you're talking about lethality, that's basically how dangerous of a situation they're in.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
If there were weapons involved or, drugs or anything that could heighten that danger, then we take that into account.
Yeah. Are there programs specifically for the kids? I'm thinking of like children and teens who are in the shelter. They may not be technically, well, I guess you can look at it both ways. Yeah, they are clients. If their parent is a client, then the child is a client also. And, I'm thinking of a kid back there, maybe even a teen, you're thrown into this situation, and, you're away from home, you're away from your friends and the environment that you grew up in, and all of a sudden you're in this shelter. What do we do to accommodate kids back there who, not by their choice, they have to be here?
Okay, and like I was saying, usually with the child advocate, they're going to work with them as far as the school and the making sure that they have birthday presents, that type of thing. But we do have recreational facilities and things for the kids to do, just to kind of keep their mind off the situation
Sure.
they're in. Because like you said, they've been thrown into this without, any fault of their own. So we do try to do things that would kind of make the kids more comfortable. Sometimes we'll do movie nights, we'll do pizza nights, something just to kind of keep the kids. And kids are remarkably resilient because a lot of them, like especially the younger ones, come in and they're surrounded by other kids their own age, so they're actually enjoying being able to interact with other kids
Yeah.
all day. It's like having 37 brothers or sisters.
Right,
so.
right. And as long as you've been here and you've worked with so many different clients, does one client story particularly stand out as just being the model of success going through something like this?
There's been a few over the years that, and obviously without any revealing information, but just they've come in that worked the program, and we've seen them go on to not only be free of their abuser, but flourish in a job situation and whatever they were working in. But yes, there's been several that I've seen go on and leave all of the trauma that they suffered up to that point behind them. So
Yeah, okay. And Greg, I know probably the last time or one of the last times you was on the podcast, and I think a lot of times I've asked you this before, because in a way I just think it's interesting. Obviously, in the line of work we're in, the majority of our clients are women. And of course, I want to emphasize that we serve men and women here. But the majority of our clients are women, and probably the majority of our employees are women.
yeah.
Our coworkers here are women. You and I are one of the few men who are working here at the Family Crisis Center. How are you received as a man in charge of a shelter occupied mostly by women who are victims of domestic violence?
Well, actually, probably the first month or two that I worked here was probably the most awkward, just because I don't even think they had told them they hired a man as a shelter manager at first. So
Yeah.
I got a lot of strange looks, and everybody just kind of avoided me for the first little bit until I kind of got everybody to feel comfortable with it. And I've had mixed reactions, because sometimes I've had some women saying, like, a man has no business
Yeah.
running a shelter for abused women. And then I've had others that, especially those with kids, that have been very positive, saying that having a man in there in a positive role model kind of helps the kids to see, how a man should act, how he should, treat a woman,
Sure.
how he should, what kind of person he should be.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I think that's one of the reasons I always kind of like working here, is to show, first of all, not all men are abusers, and there
Yes.
are men out there who care about victims, and I do like, whenever I, particularly in my role, go to the schools and you're talking to young people, to show that positive male model, that we can exhibit as men, as working here.
and that's,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, and that's one of the positives of my job to me, just because a lot of the kids sometimes will stop and just stop to talk just because they haven't had that positive,
Yeah,
nonviolent, male
exactly.
role model.
Exactly.
And, I've had the moms comment on it, and I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic that they see that so that, both the parents
Yeah.
and the child
Yeah.
know that there are those good men out there that, are there
Sure.
for the right reasons. So.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Well, Greg, one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, obviously, in your profession and what we're about to talk about now, it just seems like you really have a heart for serving the public, and it's kind of hard to believe 2025. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Uh, End of October, beginning of November. Entering the holiday season, and it's time again. So now, of course, I know you've been in gear for a while, thinking about Thanksgiving in the park, and this is a project that you spearhead every year
Yes.
for the Angelina County community. It has no connection with the Family Crisis Center, but I do want to talk to you about this because I think it is something that's very important and very vital to our community. Can you talk a little bit about exactly what is Thanksgiving in the park?
Okay. Thanksgiving in the park, and I know we talked about. I had said this was the 10th anniversary, which it's actually the 9th. I made a little math error there, but it is the 9th annual. So, it is an event it was originally started to feed the homeless, which that's still the main thing. But I also noticed through the first couple of years that I had a lot of people that, some of them servers, some of them people that came out to eat, that there was a lot of people that didn't have a place to go on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And they, whether they be older, their kids were somewhere else, or they'd just moved to town, whatever
Yeah.
reason, they didn't have that place to go on Thanksgiving. And so it kind of evolved in what it's all about so that we're still feeding the homeless. But it also is a place for that family connection, for that holiday connection where
Yeah.
they have somewhere where they feel like I have a place to go every year, where I'm wanted, where I'm recognized. It's kind of like the Cheers where everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
Because after you've been there a couple of years, people that haven't seen each other since the last one start catching up and going, hey, what's been going on since last year? And, it really does feel like a family Thanksgiving because there's so many people that come back year after year that, it feels like that family gathering. So,
Yeah.
it's really kind of caught lightning in a bottle with it. It's evolved past what the original conception was, but I do love what it's become. And,
Yeah.
every year you feel this magic there. It's really something special.
Well, I like the fact that you do point out that yes, this was established, and probably one of the main goals is feeding the homeless on Thanksgiving. But I think it's important to note also that there's a lot of folks here in town that they do have a home, but they don't have maybe family close by or anything where they can go spend Thanksgiving with. And I just think this is a great opportunity for someone, instead of spending Thanksgiving alone, they can still go out and have that fellowship with other folks for a day that's what it's kind of meant to emphasize, is fellowship with other people.
Yes, and I've especially noticed it was just a weird. A couple of the first reporters that came out, and did the interviews for it, and especially I think some of KTRE's, like their own 2-year contracts or whatever, and they may have just moved into town, and they came out to do the story. And I've had a couple go, I was thinking I'm out here working on Thanksgiving, but they were like, I actually feel like I'm at home with family, and it's very touching.
Yeah.
to know that you've affected someone that way, whether intentionally, unintentionally, but that they felt like they were a part of this, even just coming out to do an interview.
Sure. No, I think it's great. So you did say this. You've been doing this now for 9 years. Coming up
Yes.
this year, 2025 will be 9 years. Let's kind of talk about the origins of this. How did all of this get started to begin with?
So, in 2017, I was sitting around with a friend of mine, and I had just done a documentary thing for Impact Lufkin, where we were talking about the Reverend Betty Kennedy, and she had mentioned, her family had mentioned something about how she gave out food boxes on Thanksgiving, and that without her here, who was going to do that? Which automatically that didn't. But a friend of mine was also talking about, he lives right around the corner from Kiwanis Park, and he was talking about the homeless population there. And he was talking about how his family every year, like they cook this big Thanksgiving, but the kids, his kids would go to, 5 other people's houses, and then they'd come there.
Yeah.
So they were full by the time they got there, but they have all this food left over that they prepared for Thanksgiving. And he had mentioned he thought about just taking the leftovers down to Kiwanis Park and offering up to any of the homeless that was there. And just kind of had a spark of, we can do a little better than that. Just some random stranger going, here, you want some food? That seems a little sketchy. So actually use that to turn it into an event to feed the homeless where, everybody, felt like it was coming from a reputable source. It wasn't, it wasn't just some strange guy handing out food on the side of the road.
Right.
But then also, I wanted to make it a community thing. So I reached out to community and to see who would help donate food, who would help kind of make this all happen. And the community was fantastic about it. Every year, my volunteers and people that donate food has gone up. Because, like I said, once people hear about it, they want to be a part of it, and they want to know, what they can bring, how they can help by serving, or anything that we need there. They're offering up, whether we needed garbage bags or paper plates or soft drinks or anything. There's always someone there going, whatever you need, just tell me what it is, I'll go get it. So. It just really kind of shows you what Lufkin's made of also, because the community has been like the spark that's made this work.
Yeah. So if someone is listening to this and they do want to help out, they want to have a hand in this, who can they contact? Where do they need to go?
Okay. I would be their main contact person. They can call me at 936-229-0273 and just kind of let me know how they want to help, how they want to be a part of this. We actually have a Facebook page this year, so you can look up Thanksgiving in the Park and join our Facebook page. And on there we have a sign-up sheet where you can kind of let us know also that you want to be a part of this. If you wanted to bring something, you can put that on there. We're trying to kind of expand and streamline how we do everything to make it a little easier for both us and for the people that want to help. So that's kind of a new thing this year with that Facebook page.
So what is it that you do typically need? Some of the obvious things are also food, but what else? Like if someone does want to volunteer, what do you think what do you typically need the most every year?
A lot of the little things that we try to keep collected from year to year. We kind of look and see the paper plates, the plastic, eating utensils. paper cups, ice, those little things help out a lot too. I mean, if you can't donate like a food item or whatever, sometimes just bringing us, a thing of paper plates or a thing of the plasticware helps tremendously, because it does get stressful. Like there's, especially with the growth, it's like there's a few core of us that kind of help hold this together, and God's grace does the rest, I guess.
Yeah.
But sometimes those little things get lost in the shuffle, and then we're having like 30 minutes before, it's like, oh, we don't have any plastic forks, and somebody's running to the store to go get some. So a lot of the little things like that help also, just kind of make everything run a little smoother.
Okay. And finally, when and where? Obviously, Thanksgiving Day,
Yes.
Kiwanis Park. What time are y'all usually out there? How long does this? When does this take place?
It's usually from 11 to 1. If you're going to volunteer, we usually ask that you be out there by 10, so we can kind of try to organize everything, and I do like to rotate like people in and out serving, because with more volunteers, I don't want anybody standing around feeling like, well, I came out to help, but I didn't really get to, so I don't feel like I was a part of it. So I try to make sure people rotate in and out.
Okay.
And as it gets bigger, I even have extra people just watching for those people that are kind of standing to the side and like, hey, have you got to serve yet? And so it's kind of a team effort, trying to keep everybody involved and make everybody feel like they were 100% a part of this.
Okay, great. All right, Greg Sims, Thanksgiving in the Park. That'll be Thanksgiving Day at Kiwanis Park from 11 until 1. Greg, if somebody does want to volunteer, how do they get signed up to do that?
Well, and once again, they can either call me on my phone, which is 936-229-0273, or they can go to our Facebook page and do the sign-up page on there.
Great. I'm glad you guys got a Facebook page this year. That's awesome. All right, Greg, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Greg Sims, our shelter manager here at the Family Crisis Center. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
You too, Stuart.
All right. And I always like to remind everyone, if you feel like you need the services of the Family Crisis Center, I want to remind you we do have a toll-free hotline. That's 1-800-828-7233. And that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Be sure to subscribe to Conversations and Connections via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or the podcast service of your choice. Remember, be the voice, if not for you, for someone else.